paper, that is November 2018's paper, is question 1, question 1 and question 2. Question 2, first option. Now in question 2, you were required to prepare liquidator statement of account and full sum was given. Now if you see the option, if you see the option, you are asked to prepare again the same liquidator statement of account. Along with it, you are asked theory of 7 marks. That is distinguish between private company and public company and write a note on sub broker. So that means the sum is going to be easy. It's going to be a smaller sum as compared to a complete 14 mark sum. Are you getting it? So in case you think that a long sum is difficult and you find some of the adjustment difficult, you can just go on with the option. But I will not recommend it because in theory you may not get full marks. That is for 7 marks. If they are asking 7 marks question of theory, you may not get full marks. But if you can attempt a 14 marks full sum, then you can definitely score full 14 on 14 marks there. Okay, so let us start with the solution of question 2, optional sum, liquidators final statement. I'm writing on the Jamboard. You can have a look at it. So we are doing paper of November 2018. In that, question 2, option and A part, liquidators. Okay, so let us start with it. Liquidators liquidators statement of account. Now I'm starting with liquidator statement of account. You can do this sum along with me on Jamboard, right? If you know it, you can go ahead with the sum. For rest of the students, I'm doing it on the Jamboard. Okay. So you can see here, I already started preparing. So your particulars, rupees, particulars, rupees, right? Let us start. We start with the receipt side itself. So assets realized, whatever receipts the liquidator makes right on the receipt side. So on the receipt side, we have cash. You can check the amounts yourself and write accordingly. Cash is 2,500. Then comes debtors. Amount of debtor is 58,500. Is it visible properly on Jamboard, all of you? Please let me know in case of any trouble. Plant and machinery is 39,000. Sorry, it is a stock. Stock is 39,000. Plant and machinery. Plant and machinery 45,000. Then we have furniture. Furniture 6,000. Right. So these are the assets realized. Now we go to the payment side. Actually, I should have written here receipts and payments. By mistake, I've written particulars. Anyways, I just change it. This is receipt side. And this is payments. Now we write the payments one by one as per the order. First, we write liquidators remuneration. As such, in this sum, there is there are no secured creditors. If they are given, then we write. Otherwise, we skip it. So there is no point of secured creditors or payment, any payment to workers. So we go directly to the third in the order of payment, that is the liquidators remuneration. So what liquidator is going to get? 2.5% on rupees. See, if you can read the question, remuneration point is given to you 2.5% on amount realized, including cash, and 2% on amount paid to unsecured creditors. Okay, so 2.5% is 2.5% on 1,86,000. So that will give you 4,650. Then comes 2% on unsecured creditors, payment given to unsecured creditors. Now the question arises, if 2% is to be given to unsecured creditors, what will be the amount to be paid to unsecured creditors? For that, you can just switch over to the question again and check what are the unsecured creditors. See, in the balance sheet, they've given you unsecured creditors 99,790. 99,000. 99,790. Preferential are 24,200. Then comes partly secured creditors 55,310. And there's a category of, see, leasehold property which was used to pay the partly secured creditors. So partly secured creditors are 55,310, out of which 35,000 are secured. 35,000 are secured. So whatever remains, you need to pay on them the as unsecured creditors. Okay. So I just do the working for this so that you understand this better. So for those who don't understand it, come to Jamboard. I'll help you out. I'm writing the working with red pen, red color, so that you can understand it in a better manner. So first thing you need to understand is directly unsecured creditors are given to you. Unsecured creditors, direct amount is already given to you in the question. If you can read, 99,790. Okay, 99,790. Then the balance of partly secured creditor, balance of partly secured creditor, that comes out to, see, total amount you need to pay 55,310, out of which you are secured by 35,000. So remaining amount will be 20,310. 20,310. Right? Then just go through the balance sheet and make sure there is no other liability left out. Now you can see in the question there is a liability called bank overdraft which is also unsecured. So that is to be added to the unsecured creditors. So bank overdraft. If you miss this point of bank overdraft, your answer will get nowhere close to the right answer and thereby you will lose the marks. So total will be 1,32,100. Now you write it whenever you get the amount, you can write it here. For unsecured, wherever you write on the credit side, if you wish, you can write at that point or you can write it now. So total is unsecured creditor total is 1,32,100. So calculate remuneration on it. Unsecured creditors are 1,32,100. Okay. I hope you are able to follow me what I have done. Any doubts in this? Anything that you have not understood? Okay. Uh, Let me just complete the sum and then we'll again come to your doubts, whatever you have. Okay. So we go back to our solution. Okay. Can you tell me the amount of remuneration? 1,32,100. 1,32,100 into 2%. The amount comes to 2642. Uh, See, they have said 2.5% on the amount realized including cash and 2% amount paid to unsecured creditors. Okay. So we go to our solution again. By as per the order, the next comes, along with this, you need to pay the liquidation expenses. Liquidation expense. As per the order, you have to pay all the expenses related to liquidation. Then next in the order comes preferential creditors. Preferential creditors. Preferential creditors. What's the amount of preferential creditors? It is given directly 24,200. We write it 24,200. Okay. Now we pay the money to the unsecured unsecured creditors. But the problem is, see, when you are doing a university sum and if it is for 7 marks, you cannot just think that everything will be straightforward. So there is, before writing this remuneration, and because this is the, the, you have to check whether you have that much amount in your hand or not. So can you just check the amount that you have in your hand right now? The total of receipt side, receipt side, the total of receipt side. Just a second. Total of, sorry, my mistake. The liquidation expenses are just 1000. My mistake, I've written 7500. The total is 1,51,000. Total is total is 1,51,000. Right? Now, what amount you'll pay to unsecured creditor? The amount that you'll pay to unsecured creditor will be whatever is left in your hand, and that will be again 102%. Okay. So out of 1,51,000, whatever payments you have made, you just write it down. Remuneration to liquidator. Now, as suggested in the point, 2% on 2% on unsecured creditors, right? 2% on unsecured creditors. Jamboard, it is working little slow because I have already written the point. Okay, fine. So suppose if 20310 0310 multiplied by 224. I actually I forgot to. You even didn't remind me that whenever there is a point, we have already covered this point in short sums. Okay. See, remember what we did at that when we did the short sums. When we did short sums, I did mention that your preferential creditors are also unsecured creditors. So if we have given money to preferential, you need to calculate the remuneration for the same. We have paid uh, we have paid two preferential creditors. Preferential creditors. So 2% of preferential creditors, 24,200 into 2%. 24,200 into 2% will be 484. Okay. So 1,51,000 that we have in our hands minus 4,650 minus 484. See, generally, the as per the order we pay to debenture holders, but in this example, we have not done that way because as per the order after preferential we pay to debenture holders, right? But we have not done that because do we have debentures given? No debentures are given, so we have skipped debentures and we moved on with the unsecured. Now what is the amount that is left in hand after deducting all this? Whatever amount is left, that is 102. What amount is left? Okay, 120,666 is left in our hand. Okay, so that is 102. Solve this. 102 is this amount, then what will be the amount of rupees 2? Solve it. If 102 is 20, what is the amount? 120,666. 120,666. So you get the amount of remuneration, that is the amount of remuneration that you just said in the chat box. It is 2366. 2366. This is what you have found out. So total of this, all this will be 7,500. Now just close it, and that's it for this sum. Okay. Let us go on to the next example without wasting any time. Let us go on to the next one. Understood, all of you? The point that I missed, no one, I mean, one or two students did mention, but see, at the time of doing short sums, I did explain to you many times that whenever they tell you in a point that 1%, 2% is to be paid remuneration on unsecured creditors, at that time you have to make sure that whenever you pay to preferential creditors, you need to calculate the same percentage of remuneration on preferential creditors as well, because preferential creditors are basically unsecured creditors. It's just that they get preference when it comes to making the payment, and they get before many other creditors because of the preference as per the law. They are as good as unsecured creditors. Now here I skipped that point, and because of it I was not able to uh, get the answer because I skipped it. So the answer amount that you will pay to unsecured creditors will be 1,18,000, balancing figure 1,18,300. This is our answer. Okay. So always remember this. So I guess now we can move to the next example. Doubt solved. Okay. Let us get back to our work. Question number 3. Now, if you can just see the question, as I have told you time and again, question 2, you will be asked a sum of, most probably, a sum of liquidator. In option, you get a sum of liquidator. Now, in question 3, you get amalgamation absorption, and in the option, you get the same. Now, if you see question number 3, first option, in that you have to prepare accounts, prepare realization account, 14% preference shareholders account, and equity shareholders account in the books of X Limited, and give opening entries in the book of Y Limited. Fine. Now in question 3, option sum, you are required to close the books, preparing realization account, preference shareholder equity, and past journal entries in the books of P Limited. Assuming amalgamation was in the nature of purchase, you need to make a balance sheet. Now this is also a point that I discussed with you time and again, that you may be given a question of journal entry accounts, and in the option of it you may be given a sum of merger purchase, or there may be a situation where you get a sum wherein it's a combination of the two, that is journal entries in the books of one company and preparing balance sheet in the books of other company on the basis of either a merger or purchase method. Is it okay? So this is what we already discussed when we did the chapter. So let us start with the first option. Now you are given the balance sheet of X Limited, and Y Limited is taking over X Limited, and purchase, regarding purchase consideration, new shares are given. Okay, and the sum is having a point of intrinsic value. So let us calculate. Let us start with the question number 3. Okay. Okay, just to remind you, question 2, optional sum B was theory. Theory. So you need to remember to read this kind of theory. It will be asked, and you have to score good marks in that too. So private company, public company, sub broker, these are all important theory questions. Okay, so let us begin with question 3. First step is calculating purchase consideration. I'm starting here. Question number question 3, in the books of X Limited. Now here, first point is calculation of purchase purchase consideration. Okay. So first, a very basic calculation, that is what shares are given by Y Limited to the shareholders of X Limited. So equity shareholders will get, see, let me just read the point first for you. The point says X Limited takes over Y Limited. The first point is related to debentures. Second point is related to preference share. Now, third point, intrinsic value per share of X Limited is 150 and that of Y Limited is 300. Y Limited will issue equity shares to satisfy the equity shareholders of X Limited on the basis of intrinsic value. However, the entry should be made at par value only. The nominal value of each share of Y Limited is 100. Okay. So what you have to do is whenever there is a point of intrinsic, we did it in the short sum also in the previous lecture. So right now the equity capital that you see in the balance sheet is 15 lakhs. Okay. And value of share 15 lakhs and the book value of share is 100 rupees. So face value, that is face value is 100. So 15,000 shares that belongs to the shareholders of X Limited. Now on the the basis of intrinsic value, what you have to do is on the basis of intrinsic value, value of Y Limited is rupees 300 per share. Intrinsic value is basically dependent on the market situation and the return that the company is providing. And for X Limited, the intrinsic value is 150. Okay. So new shares that Y Limited will issue to the shareholders X Limited will not be 15,000. It is giving new shares on the basis of intrinsic value. So the shares divide the value of shares. See, total number of shares that will be issued, number of shares will be, see, we have calculated above that the number of shares of X Limited are 15,000. Okay. Now, these shares will be given, will be, new shares will be calculated on the basis of the intrinsic value. So 15,000 into 150 is the intrinsic value of X Limited divided by the shares, intrinsic value of the shares of Y Limited, that is 300. So the new shares that will be issued will be 7,500 shares. This is the working that you have to do whenever the point of intrinsic value is given to you. What you have to do is first divide the equity capital by the face value, get the number of shares that the company's shareholder possess. Then the value, intrinsic value of both the companies will be given to you. So multiply those shares into the intrinsic value of the transferor company divided by the intrinsic value of transferee company. So 15,000 shares into 150 intrinsic value of X Limited divided by intrinsic value of Y Limited, that is 300. So you get the number of shares that will be given by Y Limited. But they also written a point that face value remains the same, that is 100. So value of equity shares will be 7,500 into 7,500 into 100. So that will be 7,50,000. Okay. Then we talk about preference shares, value of preference shares. So for preference share, what is given to you in the example? Just have a look at the question. Preference shareholders are discharged at a premium of 20%. Okay. So they are given more 20%. So preference shares, the new preference share will be 15% preference shares and value of it will be the same 5 lakhs, and they are to be given premium as well. Premium 20%. Premium 20%. So 20% of 5 lakh will be 1 lakh. So the total of per, these all three will be 13,50,000. That is the purchase consideration. Understood the point, especially intrinsic value. Okay. So now the work becomes simple. We have to just prepare the accounts. Okay. So what are the accounts which are needed to be prepared? Realization account, equity shareholders account, preference shareholders account. This is what they expected. Now this all will be done in the books of X Limited. So consider all the old values, that is the values given in the balance sheet and not the new values. Okay. So I guess you will be able to make the accounts for this. You have done many sums for preparing the accounts and passing the journal entries. See, for debentures point, you don't have to worry because debenture, when you are writing the entries in the books of when you are writing the entries in the books of X Limited, see, for each debenture of X Limited is discharged by Y Limited issuing 15% debenture at a premium of 60 each. Nominal value of debenture is 100. Now debentures are paid more, and whatever they make the payment, that will be affected when you write the entries in the books of Y Limited. Now if you read the question, they have asked you to write first complete the accounts in the books of X Limited, right? They have asked you to prepare three accounts in the books of X Limited and opening entries in the books of Y Limited. So when you write the entries in the books of Y Limited, at that time you will need the working of debentures. Right now it is not needed. Okay. Right now you can easily uh, do the remaining part of the sum in the books of X Limited, preparing the necessary accounts. Now, by the time you prepare the accounts, by the time you prepare the accounts, I am also doing along with you simultaneously on Google Jamboard. For any confusion, any doubt, you can just you know check on Jamboard at what I have done, and you can make the changes accordingly. Okay, you can check for yourself. I am writing the journal entries. Sorry, I am preparing the accounts on Jamboard. You can prepare along with me, and you can write the accounts along with me. You can check whether you've done it correctly or not. So let us start with the realization account. Just a second, I'll change the background so that you get proper linings when you see the video on YouTube. You can start with making realization account. Anyways, I'm using the same template because okay. So let us start with the realization account. Only three accounts are to be prepared. Realization account, equity, shareholders account. I'm doing this on the 11th page of Jamboard, so you can just refer to it alongside me while doing. Okay, let us start transferring all the assets and liabilities on in the realization account is the first step. Let us quickly do that. I'm writing it very quickly. You can just follow me or you can go on at your own pace. To land and building, 10 lakh. To plant and machinery, 9 lakh. Then comes to furniture, 2 lakh 10,000. To investment, 1 lakh. To stock, 4 lakh 60,000. Debtors, 4 lakh 80,000. To bank, 3 lakh. Then transferring liabilities, 12% debentures, 8 lakhs. Then comes creditors, 4 lakh. Then comes purchase consideration, step of recording the purchase consideration, right? Now once you record the purchase consideration, you can get the purchase consideration. So when you open equity, the shareholders are going to get their share capital worth 15 lakhs, plus they will also get the accumulated profit so far, that is general reserve, that is 2 lakh 50,000, right? Similarly, preference shareholders will get their share of preference capital. Preference share capital is 5 lakh. right? Now get the money in the form of purchase consideration. So the equity shareholders are going to get uh, equity shares of Y Limited worth 7,50,000. We have done it in the previous working of purchase consideration. Okay, and preference shareholders are going to get preference shareholders will get four, instead of 14%, they are getting 15% preference shares of 5 lakh plus premium. They'll get 1 lakh premium. Okay, so thereby they are going to make profit. So by realization profit 1 lakh, close the account 6 lakh. Okay, to preference shareholders 1 lakh, right? This is what you have to do. Okay, now find the loss on realization, debit side minus credit. It is obvious that it is going to be a loss because see, equity shareholders on the credit side is 17 lakh 50,000 and they are receiving only shares of 7 lakh 50,000. So it's but obvious that they are incurring a loss, and that loss will be loss on realization. It has to be it has to be 10 lakhs to tally equity shareholders account. So 10 lakhs and close realization 35 lakh 50,000 and to realization 10 lakhs. Total 17 lakh 50,000, 17 lakh 50,000. Okay. I've written all the accounts on the Jamboard and you can see. Okay. Okay. Now, what is left in the sum is preparing or passing opening entries in the books of Y Limited. Whatever entries you pass to close the books of X Limited, now you have to write the entries for recording all those transactions that has taken place while purchasing the business of X Limited. Now passing entries in the books of Y Limited and the option sum of question 3 will do in the next class, along with discussing some theory questions of question 4.